let's start the show.
It's Thursday, September 26, 2012. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Joining me today in beautiful New York City. I don't have a microphone in front of my face, so this is very uncomfortable for me. Norman Chan.
Point the microphone toward your face, Will.
I
Adjust the microphone.
I can't. It's already aimed at my face. I just want it up here, shielding me from the outside world.
No spit guard today.
No, I know. No pop filter. Norm, how you doing?
I felt like I said things, but I didn't move my mouth.
What do you mean?
Hey, let's start the show.
Like that?
Just
Hey, let's start the show.
Really?
like that.
Really? Like that? Like what?
Hey, let's start the show. Hey, let's start the show.
Wow, this is amazing. It's like I have a puppet. We're in New York, Norm. Wesley Fenlon joining us today.
Hi, I'm here in New York.
A slightly under the weather Wesley
I'm
Fenlon.
pushing through it. I'm doing all right.
You're a little bit of a delicate flower when it comes to traveling, man.
That airplane just messed me up. I don't know.
So we're
in the airplane and then no sleep.
Are those
also
pants?
for 2 days?
no, that's Joey's track jacket. I hope. Are they in the shot?
Oh, it's a jacket. It looks
It's
like
like, he does this. This is a Joey thing. You'll be walking through the office and there's just a pair of pants and socks and shorts.
because when Joey goes to the office, he changes clothes.
I understand why it happens. I'm just saying he's
Just
like
like Mr.
Spore.
Rogers.
He leaves them behind everywhere he goes. We're in New York this week, which is unusual for us. Why are we in New York, Norm?
I don't know. Why are we in New York?
Maker Faire is this weekend.
Maker Faire is this weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
Mhm.
World International Maker Faire? World
Maker Faire.
in Queens,
Yeah.
which is one of the boroughs.
5
New York
boroughs.
City. Name all 5 boroughs quickly.
Manhattan, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Bronx, and Queens.
Very good. I'm
Yeah.
learning a lot about New York City.
So is this your first big trip to New York?
My first
Norm?
time in New York in 18 years.
Like as an adult?
Even since preteen.
Okay. So yeah, this is my first, like I've been to New York off and on for like business over the years, but it's always like come in for 2 nights and you have like 3 days worth of meetings and then you leave directly at the end of the last day so you don't get to do anything fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just inside of conference rooms, which could happen anywhere in the world and
Yeah.
would be all the same. So like I'm figuring
It's
out.
amazing. It's a city. When I used to live like in the East Bay and I was, let's go to the city. And people are like, you mean New York? No, I mean San Francisco. Like that's not the city. New York is the city. Now I know what that means because this is really a city unlike any city, urban jungle I've ever seen or been in.
Like Chicago's a little bit like this, Boston's a little bit like this.
I've been to Chicago.
They're
been to
both
Boston,
very dense.
Been to Philly, been to Indianapolis, been to like capitals of states and stuff. Nothing is like New York.
No,
It is tall buildings everywhere. Everywhere feels like downtown.
you go down into a hole, you ride on a train that goes really fast for 20 or 30 minutes, and then you come up, and it's still a massive city.
Yes.
You can't do that at most
Also,
places.
every subway stop I've been in, first of all, the subway's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really efficient, gets you everywhere. But every time we've gone out and into a subway and come up, I'm in a different part of the city I've never seen before. Don't know where I am, but it all looks like downtown.
Well, except for last night. We got up and we were walking around. We were like, hey, wait, this looks familiar. Have we been here before? And we accidentally walked down this. Oh, you weren't here on Sunday.
It wasn't familiar for him, but
Oh.
it was weird for us.
Wes, you need to adjust your mics or it keeps pulling down into your shirt. I'm going to turn you down while you do that.
Oh, fuck.
Language, please. This is a family podcast.
So yeah, it's a real city. And we are in Manhattan.
We're in the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
I never knew all those things. Upper East Side, Upper West Side, Lower
Every
East Side.
4 blocks is a different place.
It makes sense.
We went to Chelsea yesterday, and we went to the East Village. We
All
went
right.
through Times Square on the way to the East Village.
We did go through Times Square.
We went to No Hoboken. What's the place under the bridge that they were telling us about last?
Hoboken?
No. There was Nobo Hobo something or other, something under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Under
That might have been when
Brooklyn
Wes and I were
Under
talking.
Pass.
Is that Dumbo?
Dumbo, that's it.
Dumbo.
Yeah, something
Nice.
underneath the Hoboken Bridge or the anyway, Brooklyn Bridge.
Overpass.
It's crazy. Yeah, overpass. It's like places where trolls live. So we've done some cool stuff while we've been here already. We went to see the Intrepid yesterday and talked to
the Intrepid is a aircraft carrier.
It's a World War II / Vietnam
non-nuclear power aircraft
Right.
carrier. So it's very small compared to existing modern aircraft carriers. Retired, obviously.
super carriers is what they
Yes.
call them today.
Much like the USS Hornet
Yeah, or the Lexington if you've been to San Diego.
in the Bay Area, and it's a museum.
It's an aviation museum. So there's probably 4 or 5 really amazing aviation museums in the United States. Obviously, the National Air and Space Museum in Washington is high atop the list because it has all the stuff that did things first. Like it has the Bell X-1, which was the first aircraft to break the speed of sound. It has the Spirit of St. Louis, which is the first aircraft to fly nonstop across the
Is that the
Atlantic
one in
Ocean.
Smithsonian?
That's in the Smithsonian.
Okay.
It has the Enola Gay,
We're
which is
talking about the one in
first.
Transformers 2.
No, that was not a real place. Yes, it was, but they did bad things because
Okay.
they went into a museum in Washington and came out in the desert.
I understand.
I don't understand how that happened.
I don't understand how that happened.
They didn't have continuity people
No.
there. So that's an amazing aircraft museum. The one in Dayton, Ohio, at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is I think the official Air Force aviation museum, is amazing because they have like one of every plane that was ever flown by the Air Force. It seems like
Wow.
hangars and hangars and hangars and hangars full of planes.
The Air Force commissioned many, many, many planes. To be
Thousands.
made. Tens of thousands.
Well, but even thousands of designs of different planes and variants.
and they
all
have
that.
all those?
They don't have all the variants.
Okay.
But they have literally a few hundred planes there, ranging from pre-World War II kind of biplanes some of those might be models because I don't know how many of those have survived, through World War II and into like Cold War era bombers and experimental planes and crazy stuff like that. They have a Valkyrie, which you may remember from I think the beginning of Thunderball. Remember which was the one where they sunk the plane in the ocean and hid it underwater? I'm pretty sure that was Thunderball.
That sounds like Thunderball, yeah.
Yeah, if it's scuba diving, it's Thunderball, right? So it's an amazing collection there. But the Intrepid,
but we didn't go into those.
No, we
went
didn't.
to the Intrepid.
Right, the Intrepid is amazing.
It's for an aircraft carrier because I'd been on the Hornet. You've been on the Hornet. We've played land parties at the Hornet.
The Hornet's really cool because it's very raw. Like you can go down into the bowels of the ship if you take the special tour and see the engine room and stuff like that.
It's like the final level of Crisis.
Except for much smaller.
A little bit smaller, yes. This is you have the flight deck and one deck under that's open, that's turned into a museum, and you have basically restored airplanes, helicopters, submarine even, fighter planes, passenger planes, and now a space shuttle.
Yeah. So we went to see the space shuttle. That was the big draw. They had the Enterprise, which is the only one of the surviving shuttles that didn't go to space.
The Enterprise.
She's the Enterprise, Captain.
Captain. She's the Enterprise.
There you go. They have the Enterprise, which was the flight test.
Space shuttles.
4 surviving.
4 surviving orbiters.
Can you name them, Norm?
Oh yeah, I can name them in order. They're
Okay.
Enterprise, Columbia, Challenger, Discovery, Atlantis, Endeavour.
That's correct. Gold star for Norman Chan.
And Endeavour was built from the parts that kind of survived after Challenger and Columbia.
Yeah. So
Challenger.
and it was after Challenger. Endeavour was they fabbed some original stuff, but a lot of it was leftover parts and things that they were going to refit into Challenger before the
So
accident.
Enterprise was the first one. It was built and designed over 35 years ago.
Yeah, it's almost as old as I am.
That is crazy,
Yeah.
and it still looks high tech, advanced. Well,
No, it doesn't.
kind of.
It looks really cool, but
Yeah.
it does not. It looks like a vision of the failed past.
I don't know. It's elegant in its own way. It's iconic.
So anyway, we talked to Eric
Boehm.
Boehm, who's the curator of the Intrepid's air collection, and he told us a bunch of awesome stories about the Enterprise. We went into stuff like why it never flew, why she never flew into space. You know, they blew her off the top of a 747 a few times. He showed us the secret compartment that they used to climb up into the orbiter when they needed to do maintenance and check on the preservation status. What he said was really interesting because I didn't realize this, but NASA apparently maintained that shuttle through the entire program, and they used it for different things along the course of
Mostly
its life.
as a parts locker.
Yeah. So for spare parts. However, during the Challenger, during the Columbia investigation, they actually used the Enterprise and the carbon leading edges and stuff to measure potential impact of foam chunks to see if they could have actually damaged the tiles that caused the
So
loss of the
Columbia brought attention to the heat shield,
Mhm.
the heat shield design of these orbiters, and that's how the orbiters work. That's why they can come back to Earth. Is when they come through the atmosphere, they don't aim down; they are flat,
Mhm.
and the bottom, the black part, are all made of ceramic tiles, glass tiles, and they can resist up to.
Well, they're foam, actually.
They're
a lot
foam
of them.
tiles with a glass covering,
Yeah.
all made hand by hand, and then when Columbia went up, a foam tile popped off, destroyed part of the heat shield.
Off of the fuel tank.
And hit part of the heat shield, created damage they could not see, and then so when the Columbia came back down, it was already too late, and it was destroyed in the atmosphere.
Well, and my understanding is that it hit the carbon-carbon leading edge, which is the part that gets hottest on the shuttle, basically.
That's the part right above, right next to the wing.
On the front of the wing,
Yes.
front edge of the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they brought the Enterprise back out, took a piece of the door,
the landing gear door.
landing gear door, and the leading wing and the wing, and put it through a lot of many tests, wind tunnels and heat tests to see if they could replicate the damage, and they did.
Yeah.
And now when I guess the shuttles don't go up anymore, but when shuttles did go up, they could repair them.
They had an untested repair mechanism.
Yes.
But more importantly, they had extensions on the Canadarm that let them see, inspect the underside of the ship, whether they were on the ISS or free floating.
So the shuttle Enterprise actually does not have real foam tile, real ceramic
for the
tiles.
most part.
On vast majority of it, they did retain on the bay door, the gear door, landing gear doors, the test tiles, and those look very different and much cooler because they are more distinct handcrafted tiles, or they say handcrafted tiles.
And they're each individually numbered.
And they are numbered. There is a serial number on each tile, which is very cool.
So there's thousands of tiles across the bottom of the space shuttles. Each one is an individually numbered one. One of the other interesting things to me about the Enterprise is because she did not go to space. They didn't have to do a lot of the kind of safety stuff that they would have had to do on a space shuttle that actually did. Because the fuel that they use for thrusters is hydrazine, which is super toxic. So they had to flush out all of the thruster systems on the ships that are going to be publicly displayed on the Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour. So yeah, that was the Enterprise.
If the Enterprise doesn't have the actual ceramic tiles on it, what were there's just the
fake.
foam? They're just
placeholders.
Yeah. Replica tiles.
Same weight, same density, same thickness, but not
cheaper to make.
Yeah, cheaper to make and more durable. Because the ones that are actually the tiles, if you hit them with a hammer, they just kind of crumble. They fall to dust.
Really?
They're very delicate.
And yet it'll survive takeoff? Crazy.
Well, takeoff that doesn't hit anything in theory.
Wow.
The lesson learned of the shuttle is that it's a bad idea to put the crew capsule directly next to the thing with the massive tank of oxygen and hydrogen.
Yes.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's been a lot of news this week. Obviously, iPhone 5 came out last week. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's start with a piece of news that the New York Times and Verge reported yesterday. And a lot of the heat that Apple's gotten after the release of iOS 6 has been about Maps and YouTube being missing.
Maps is shit.
It's real bad in New York.
It is real bad. In one of the biggest cities in the world, I would do a search for a restaurant, and it would tell me like an old location where the restaurant was closed.
Or you do a search for the Intrepid, and it gives you a spot in the middle of the island.
Yeah.
When it's actually on water.
Mm-hmm.
So the lack of transit directions.
Lack of transit directions is one thing. But they were upfront about that. They said no transit directions, and
they have
excuse is that they're going to partner with third-party transit apps, give them a chance to quote unquote shine. Even when we were in the New York subway yesterday, we saw big signs that said, "Here are 5 separate subway apps you can download, for your iPhone or your Android device." And like Embark NYC, great app.
Yeah,
it works really well for subway. Has map built in, offline map that you can check the subway map. But it's not that. It's the actual maps in iOS 6, the actual data that people are saying it's coming from like a third tier source.
It's not real accurate and it's not up to date. And it's not just things like restaurants. It's parks. It's
just
landmarks, all sorts of stuff.
And the thing is, if you're extremely precise about your address,
it's fine.
Things are okay. I mean, maybe if you're not in a major city, you might not get the latest roads. But if you do a precise address, you're fine. If you do something that you're used to doing on Google Maps, which is something in almost natural language, like with a typo or
It's not even a natural language. It's that you open the map for where you want to go and you type food, and it gives you all the restaurants.
Or if you do like, if I wanted to go to Museum of Natural History and I didn't know, and I thought it was a Natural History Museum, it still kind of knows based on hundreds of thousands, millions of searches that that's what most people want.
And the fact that Google has 5,000 people working on maps.
There was just not enough data in iOS 6 maps.
Yeah.
In the TomTom Maps database.
They're not, well, and it's not fair to pin this all on TomTom because it could be the other parties that provide data as well. They're just the visible front-facing one.
So it seems like place names are going to be an issue for a while.
It seems like you're okay if you get the exact name of the place right. The problem is if you do generics or one-off misspellings, or you need kind of fuzzy language to pick up.
But even then, it seems like their database is way smaller than Google Maps. Just
that's definitely true.
Of what they know, what they can find. And so, like, even back in San Francisco the other day, we were talking about going to a concert and typed in the name of a pretty big venue in the city. Just didn't have it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't in Apple.
What was the venue?
Independent.
The Independent.
It didn't have the Independent. Crazy.
Well, and the other thing that I've noticed it has trouble with is stuff that could be a generic. So if you're talking about, say, a bar that's called the 12th Avenue Ale House.
Or like the bar that we're close to called the Dive Bar.
Yeah, that's impossible. That just doesn't show up.
But the news that came out, that New York Times reported, was that a lot of people assume when iOS 6 was announced.
Did the Times report this? I think the Verge reported it first.
Was that a lot of people assume that the reason the iOS 6 did not have Google Maps was that Apple ran out of its contract.
Right. The contract that Steve Jobs touted when he launched the iPhone. Apple and Google are working together to make this the best phone ever.
Yeah.
Yada, yada.
And the contract expired and Google chose not to renew, and that's why Apple doesn't have Google Maps. But the report says that Apple had one more year left on their contract.
Google the report said that sources within Google say that there's been one more year left on the contract. So iOS 6 could have had Google Maps and YouTube.
Well, with the way
Apple
contracts
chose
work,
to pull it.
It probably isn't a straight up X number of years. It could have been, X number of years plus the option for 1 year extension giving some renewed terms.
Well, that's possible.
So who knows? I mean, contracts are very complicated. I'm going to say it's probably on both Google and Apple's side. I'm going to say even if there was one more year, I don't think Google was was very enthusiastic about keeping Maps on iOS. And
you don't think Google was enthusiastic?
I don't think. No, of course not.
You don't think the money to be made from them being on that many extra million devices
they don't make money from that.
Well, they don't make that money on the Apple apps. They make money on their own apps. There's ads on the YouTube app provided by Google.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Google necessarily wanted to be part of it anymore.
My hunch is that Google would have wanted the transition to be smoother. The report is that this was a surprise to Google when, as recently as 2 weeks before it was announced at WWDC.
It seems like a really bad decision on Apple's part because, they had to scramble. It seemed like they had to scramble, and it seemed like they chose to scramble.
So it's a bad short-term decision in that every user who has an iOS 6 device has shitty maps now and no alternative. Mm-hmm. It's a good long-term decision because owning the rights to those maps and the map data and being able to sell ads against it is a massive potential revenue in the future. So if it's an example of Apple putting the revenue potential ahead of the customer's experience, which is something they've traditionally not done. And that's worrisome.
And you know what? And a lot of the people who reviewed iOS 6 and reviewed the iPhone 5 did not extensively test maps.
Well, it's hard to know what's anecdotal and what's indicative of a large problem.
I know. And to be fair, it's not practical to test, thoroughly through multiple countries,
or even multiple cities.
Right, but even basic functionality like typing in common names and also directions. I listen to podcasts where some reviewers, who may not be, I won't necessarily name, said that they did not extensively test the maps when doing their iPhone 5 reviews. Maybe they used it once or twice.
Right.
Using the maps, using directions, term-by-term directions once or twice is not enough if that's such a big part of it. And does not qualify a review or article headline where you say that, iOS 6 iOS 6, is what was it? iOS 6 is marked by stunning maps upgrade or something.
So the thing about that though is that I used the beta for a long time, and during that beta I used the GPS turn by turn even for places that I knew where to go just to see how it did. Almost every time I got in the car, even if I was just driving to work or home in the morning or night. And that experience dramatically changed between the last beta and the general availability release.
Which means that all the beta time testing
Was wasted.
Is not sufficient.
Well, no, I mean, that's my point, is even if you'd spent a ton of time with it during beta, you still would have to use it for 2 or 3 weeks afterwards to know if they had fixed the problems. And the unfortunate thing is what we're using today is a fairly significant improvement over what they had 2 months ago. So
is that because of feedback, or is that because of
it was better on day 0 of iOS 6 coming out than it was on day -1.
Well, that did not stop Apple from selling a ton of iPhones.
5 million. 12 million.
Tons of iPhones.
How many iPhones?
They sold in 24 hours, and what they count as being sold is interesting too. Apple released a press release, so 2 press releases, one after pre-sale days, which we talked about last week. They sold 2 million pre-orders.
They sold as many as they wanted to.
2 million pre-orders were made in 24 hours.
Yes.
Which was a record for them, over 1 million from the 4S, which I thought was astounding because the 4S, I thought this would be much. I was astounded that the 4S was that high anyway.
The 4S was the one that kind of had a press backlash when it was released. Oh, they didn't change enough, and then
this one had a similar. Exactly. And and I think there was some minor press backlash this time, which I think was less justified this time than last time. I think the backlash, the meh for the 4S was more justified than the meh for the 5. Having bought both and used both. But back to sales, 5 million in the first 3 days, in the first weekend.
Yeah, I kind of don't care. But
what they count as sales is what they actually delivered to customers that they signed for when they ordered online, and what they sold in stores, and also what they sold to the carriers.
So phones in human beings' hands.
Phones in human beings' hands, or sold directly to carriers, because carriers pay for them in advance. So that might not actually be in human hands. And what the consensus was in terms of the analysts was that there was a misallocation of how many they should have had in stores and how many they had available.
So the analysts are saying they had too many in stores and didn't make enough available online?
And that people don't want to wait in line anymore and buy them in stores, because
I absolutely agree with that.
That experience is terrible on the first weekend, and they should have just done more, better allocation, have more online. And then they could have gotten more in people's hands.
Yeah, did you see a lot of, hey, there's people waiting in lines for the new iPhone stores on the local news?
I did not see that.
You don't watch the local news, though,
I
do
don't
you?
watch the local news. No.
There was the one great bit about the new iPhone 5 with the holographic keyboard.
That was. Are you talking about the Jimmy Kimmel thing?
No, I think it was some news report.
What happened?
They just did a little bit on the iPhone 5 saying Apple's new iPhone is the thing to get, and they had some stock footage from YouTube or something that was all fake that they unwittingly ran as real, and it shows the iPhone 5 with new holographic keyboard and some other stuff.
You know what's bad about the local news?
Fact checking.
Everything. Let's talk about the Nook and the new Nooks, the Nook HD and the Nook HD Plus.
Barnes Noble announced new Nooks yesterday. Tell me about them.
Oh, I thought you read that story.
Oh, did you not follow the press release?
No, I didn't read the press release.
Yeah,
I don't get their press releases.
Did you not follow the press conference?
I did not follow the press conference.
There are 2 Nooks yesterday. One is a 7-inch Nook and one's a 9-inch Nook. There you go.
What an amazing coincidence.
1440 by 900, lighter than the Nexus 7, lighter than the Kindle Fire HD, wider bezel. And the Nook, the big one, is a 9-inch with, I believe, 1920 by 1080 display. And that one is $400.
So they're
$200
under
to $400.
So they're the Nexus 7 price and a little bit.
It's just like Kindle HD. But
so you're buying into an ecosystem.
You're just buying into an ecosystem. The Nook, I think, still has the SD card slot though.
But you can't really use the Nook SD unless they've changed the software. You couldn't use the SD card slot for anything other than just like raw media.
You can sideload. It made it easy to.
If you sideload stuff, it just wipes it the next time it updates. It wiped every 24 hours or something. It was a little bit unfortunate. It's increasingly hard looking at that ecosystem kind of floundering and the Amazon ecosystem exploding to recommend those for anything other than people who are going to root and replace the OS on them.
You think for those people, this is still the one to get versus the new Kindle Fire stuff?
It's tough to say because I mean, you want to recommend the Nexus for rooting and putting your own OS on, but you kind of don't have to so much because it comes with stock ice cream sandwich.
Right.
The unfortunate thing is that they're only selling 8 and 16 gigabyte models, and that might be not enough space for what people want for that.
I really love that there's on the Nook HD sales page first it is a higher resolution screen, and then also the new. The Nook HD has the side bezel, the wide side bezel, like the Kindle Fire. So
that's
I
nice.
anticipate that will be more comfortable,
more for reading
than Nexus. But they say, best tablet for families, light, thin, and super portable. Blah blah blah. Over 3 million books, tons of movies, no annoying ads, and comes with free power adapter.
Oh, that's interesting.
Big selling points because those are things that Kindle do not have.
Are they? Do they have a video service at this point?
Not like Amazon.
It's like you can watch Netflix and HBO Go and stuff like that, probably.
And
right?
you can rent stuff.
Okay.
Yes. Micro SD card stuff.
We'll order those and spend more time with them when the products are actually available. The FTC forced rent-to-own PC companies to stop spying on customers. This is an interesting story. So if you went to like a rent-to-own type store, which you shouldn't do because they're almost universally rip-offs. Every time I've ever looked at that, the price that you pay for the rental and the interest you pay on the rent-to-own is like one step away from a loan shark, basically. So don't buy PCs, don't buy anything from rent-to-own places. But for people who do, they were rent-to-owning PCs, and the people who did it, who rented the PCs, loaded them with spyware so that they could track down the PC if the person's brand flew the coop.
Okay. Fled to Mexico
with their $99 a month PC.
Dined and dashed.
And what the companies were doing with this were recording, let's say, videos and pictures of children, people in intimate situations. Yeah, they were tapping into the webcam. They were keyboard logging. They were collecting email passwords and logins. They were collecting bank login information. Let's see, what else were they doing?
Wow.
They took photos of children, people that were semi-clothed, and people in delicate situations. And the FTC investigated because that's the kind of thing that the FTC is supposed to investigate.
That sounds like a giant lawsuit just waiting.
I just turned you down because I thought you were going to blow your nose.
Like out.
So the FTC. Guess how much the FTC fined the companies responsible for the malware and the rent-to-own companies?
I bet there are 5 zeros involved.
There are 5 zeros involved. What do you think is the number in front of the 5 zeros?
0.
Is another 0,
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So there's an infinite number of zeros preceded by a 0. They find them nothing. I assume there'll be a class action suit about this. It seems like the kind of thing.
What are the names of the companies doing this?
DreamShare. It's a bunch of like local. It was 35 companies, I think, named.
It wasn't Bang Bros.
No, it wasn't Bang Bros.
Okay, because if you bought a PC rent to own from them.
Don't buy a PC rent to own from Bang Bros. You should expect what's going to happen there.
DreamShare was kind of.
Your DreamShare.
That also sounds sketchy.
It's a little weird. I think that I think you'd probably be better off buying a Bang Bros thing because then at least you'd probably have a little red light that tells you when you're pornographically.
Now, to be fair, a lot of people do not have money to rent to buy PCs.
But the pricing on these PCs was astounding to me because it was $99 a month for PCs that the net cost was probably $600. Retail. So literally, you were looking at here's something that you can pay in less than a year buy for cash, or you can be in hock indefinitely on this. So they're definitely feeding on people.
How many people actually bought it?
Tons of people, thousands of people were involved. So
$99 a month
when you can buy a perfectly decent laptop for $300.
But it's important. Most people don't understand computers. This is still the problem, right? You go into Best Buy and they immediately push you into the $500,000 computer section when in fact you're probably just as well off with a $300 laptop, like you said. So don't rent to own. You guys probably know that, but tell your friends.
What other things could you rent to own that are
Sofas?
Not a good idea?
None of the rent to own stuff is a good idea.
That's layaway.
No, layaway is different. Layaway is when you pay a little bit of money each week and you get the product when you paid all of the money in. It's basically
you get the product only after?
Yes, because otherwise it's credit.
Do places still really do layaway? I remember that being a kid, like when your only real source of buying something is to go to the store and buy it, and you put something on layaway because you only had $10.
And that's so they hold it for you.
Essentially, yeah.
So you're paying them.
You don't pay interest on it on layaway.
I understand. Like if something costs $1,000, you pay $100 a month for 10 months. And
It's
then
for people who
you
can't
get a
save.
couch.
It's for people who are incapable of saving their own money.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Yeah. What happens if you fail the layaway? If you stop making payments, do you get your cash back?
Yeah.
I'm sure if you just don't show up after a while, they just put it back on the shelf, or they'll give you your money back or something.
I don't know how I never did layaway. But yeah, the rent-to-own stuff is all basically reverse pawn shops. So they give you something, charge you money for it, and then come take it away if you...
broke, like middleman layaway services?
Are you thinking about a business opportunity here?
I'm just saying, like, I
Call it the Chan Bank?
I can't fathom people who have no self-control and they cannot save, you know.
How many iPhones are sitting on the table in front of you right now?
2 iPhones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I did not buy them on layaway.
There you go. Let's talk about the Hubble. You know, the Hubble Space Telescope?
It's still operational.
Serviced by the Space Shuttle multiple times?
And it was delivered by the Space Shuttle.
Yeah. Put into space.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, 2004, 2005, I think they released a image. They pointed the Hubble for a period of time over 2 years, just occasional snapshots of a spot in space that looked like a blank square, tiny, tiny little blank square. About like if you're holding your hands up in front of your face, it's like the size of your fingers making a square. And did a long exposure on that period of space. Superimposed all the images.
How long was the exposure?
I don't know on the first one. I didn't actually look that up today. But the upshot was when they pointed the telescope at a point of blank, empty space, seemingly empty space, and did a really long exposure, the final image had something like 5,000 galaxies in it.
So a little more there than we thought.
I think they probably thought that there was more there.
But now we can see them.
And it literally, like the picture, I'm sure you've seen it. It's a very stunning image. It looks like one of those space paintings that crazy people who don't understand cosmology do, because it has like spiral galaxies and big blown up cloud galaxies and supernova and all this cool stuff.
Hubble's a bad artist.
I'm saying the Hubble it looked like a hack. So they did that again. They took those images, they focused it on a little bit smaller area, and they did more exposures over 10 years. 2 million seconds worth of exposures.
10-year exposure. My camera does 30 seconds.
It's not a 10-year exposure. It's 2 million seconds exposure over a period of 10 years.
Okay, 2 million seconds is still a lot.
And guess what happened?
They saw just as many stars.
More stars.
More stars.
Galaxies. No, not stars.
More galaxies.
And the interesting thing is because of the long exposure, they were able to see further than we've ever seen before. So they were able to see 13.2 million years back in time because, the speed of light's a constant. The light had to travel from there to here. It took 13.2 billion years, an unimaginable period of time that was only 500 million years after the Big Bang. So it's from the dawn of the universe.
There was more Big Bang. There was more time after than time before.
Not just more time after, but a factor, like a lot more time after.
Wow.
13.2 billion years
Why
after.
couldn't they stare longer and then see the beginning of the universe?
Well, so the interesting thing about that is because the universe was expanding and it was expanding away from us, at the dawn of a lot of the stuff that we would see from that time period, we were expanding away from it as well, is going to be shifted into the infrared. It's, because as you're moving away from things, you get red shifted. As you're moving toward them, you get blue shifted. Because, the way we were able to tell, the way Hubble was able to tell the universe was expanding was all of the stars that he looked at were slightly red shifted for the most part. I mean, there's some obviously that aren't. So that's where the James Webb Space Telescope comes in. It's the successor to the Hubble. It's being launched in 2018, I think, 2017, 2018. It has a 6.5 meter lens. So whereas Hubble is one big ground piece of glass, the James Webb Telescope is what's it called when there's multiple lenses? There's multiple lenses that unfold and it becomes one big 6.5 meter reflector essentially. It's an infrared telescope. So it'll see deeper into the redshift and theoretically further back in time than we can see with the Hubble.
So with the Hubble confirming the image that it's seen the first time, and we can now see practically back to the Big Bang, what is the real scientific upshot of that? Have we learned something that we really didn't know before, or are there still things to be learned from that image, you think?
There's an infinite number of things out there.
Gibbs on a galaxy.
You want a galaxy? You want the Chan galaxy?
I'm saying there are plenty of galaxies all around. That's what this...
It'll take you a long time to get there. The commute would be a real bear.
Yeah. I don't think the Queen of England ever visited Australia.
Yes, she did, just like last year.
Maybe in that
Earlier
movie.
this year.
Maybe in that movie once.
You could, for a mere $60, you could sign up with the International Star Registry and name a star or galaxy of your own.
Only $60.
Only $60. You'll get an authorized certificate filed in the National Trademark Office.
Is this something that comes out of someone's printer?
I think they go to the National Trademark Office and they trademark the star name for you. It's not actually legally binding, and nor is the property yours. It's just for novelty value. One day, Norm. One day.
You could still put it on your wall.
Expensive novelty.
Yeah, $60. It's a piece. I can make you one if you want.
Can you get a letter written by the galaxy about how you're supporting it?
Absolutely, I'll do that for you. For $75, I'll do that.
Updates every year?
JDEC announced the DDR4 spec for PCs. Now, this is one of those things that's always interesting to me because graphics cards have different memory specs way, way, way ahead of the PC.
GDDR.
5.
5 right now.
Oh, yeah.
We've been using DDR3 on video cards since I probably covered video cards 5 years ago, which is an eternity in tech time. But JEDEC has just announced DDR4 for PCs, which means presumably the next generation of chipsets from Intel and maybe AMD will feature DDR4 support. So something to look out for. That means probably new motherboards next time you want to upgrade your CPU, which it's been a while since we've started using DDR3.
That would probably happen anyway. I mean, once
Almost
Intel
certainly.
moves to their next
New
thing.
sockets.
Who doesn't love a good socket? The big thing on the DDR4 stuff seems to be power reduction and performance increase. It's the same as it always is. So, yeah. Hey, did you hear about the antbirds? Do you like antbirds? Do you even know what an antbird is?
No.
It's a family of birds that lives primarily in South
I was hoping
America.
it was ants
That were birds
That were
that had
all-
wings.
that somehow built wings.
Winged ant is the terrifying thought.
Yeah.
So most antbirds have nothing to do with ants. I don't know why they're called antbirds.
Oh.
However, there are a few species of antbirds that follow army ants, the ones that like basically just strip everything in their path. Remember Indiana Jones and the Crystal Kingdom?
Those are
Crystal
some
Skulls?
messed up ants.
Right, that kind of ant. And there's 3 or 4 species of these antbirds that like follow that path that the army ants are going on as they're deforesting the jungle. And what they do is they get the stuff that jumps out of the way. So when the grasshoppers and the small frogs and all that stuff can tell that the army ants are coming, they jump out of the way, and the antbirds hang out on the bow wave of the army ants advance and nab the grasshoppers.
So
from
they're the
sky.
cleanup crew.
They're parasites. So they're usually when you think of parasites, you think about tapeworms or amoebas or whatever, parameciums, things that live inside larger organisms and make them sick. The antbirds are a bird. It's a normal macro-sized species that is parasitical to the ants, which is unusual. The interesting thing that's happening is there are some people doing research on the antbirds, and they found that there's one species of the antbirds that seems to be transitioning from a more varied diet. So they'll kind of camp the ant trail and pick up scraps off the end, but they'll also eat other food as well. So they can also go out and get their own food and stuff like that. What they're doing though is they're moving toward a more specialized meal, and they're giving up the plasticity in their diet in exchange for the ability to follow these ants. And it's something that is it's an evolutionary step it's happening now as these people are studying this, and they're actually watching that to kind of see how evolution works on a very short time scale that you normally can't pick up from fossil record and stuff like that. So the antbirds that stay on the back, they're not going to be able to eat normal food for very long, we think.
Should catch up.
Yeah. Well, no, it's good for them. It's easier eating, so they can spend more time doing other antbirdy things.
I do not want to trust my meal on ants.
You don't trust the unstoppable power
I don't know
of
what I
army
dislike
ants?
more, birds or ants.
Why would you dislike birds? They're lovely animals.
Some birds are gross.
Well, everything's gross. Wesley's gross right now. His nose is running. He's sneezing.
Yeah, ants are pretty gross.
Ants are vicious. And
Do you feel bad when you kill an ant?
it depends on how many. Have you ever done the thing with the magnifying glass?
When does it become enough?
Like 20.
When does it become not okay, Will Smith?
15 or 20 ants.
50? 100?
No, 20. 20 is a good number.
20?
Yeah. You don't want to have them smeared on the sidewalk. Do you know about? You know what they have to do to study the army ants? It's terrifying. They have to wear shoes with like gaiters that tuck their pants into their boots so that you don't get any exposed skin below the waist.
The ants can't bite through the boots?
The ants can't bite through the boots.
Good.
You still don't want to be in the path because I assume the Indiana Jones thing happens.
Like they crawl up.
Yeah, crawl up, and then next thing you know, you're just a pair of boots with some stumps.
Yeah, that's not good.
It'd be really bad.
No. Oh.
Xbox Music pricing for the UK leaked with the latest Xbox dashboard.
It's subscription.
It's a subscription service similar to the Zune service. It seems like it's very similar to the Zune service. The pricing is for the UK, so it's £9 a month or £90 a year, which translated into something that seemed very high for the US. I think $15 a month and $150 a year.
Average price for
$15. The monthly price seems about right. The annual price seems a little high. $180 a year seems like a lot for.
That's $15 a month.
Your math checks out.
Yeah.
Well, they'll usually give you a discount.
Well, but I'm paying $10 a month for RDO, and I feel like that's a lot.
Yes, you get out of it what you get out of it.
Right.
Yeah, you have to actually actively search for new music, and not enough new music comes out in certain times a year to make it feel like it's worthwhile, and you really make the most out of it in those initial months.
And as often as not, I find myself listening to something I bought the CD of 5 years ago. Yeah, so that's no good.
It's almost bad as renting computers.
I don't think it's that bad. I think renting computers is borderline criminal. I think that's just giving me an opportunity to make bad financial decisions.
Well, paying for streaming music is the advantage of it is immediacy and getting whatever you may want to listen to at the moment, but not ever want to buy, or something that just came out, you don't want to have to download it, you can just stream it.
Well, there's the other way to look at streaming music is that you're paying infinity. The rest of your life, you're going to pay $10 a month in exchange for the fact that you never buy CDs anymore. So that the gamble there is that you're buying at least 12 CDs a year, 12 albums a year, and if you're not doing that, then you should just be buying CDs
or buying iTunes music.
Yeah, whatever.
That you can't transfer over.
Right. Or
iTunes at least.
Amazon Music.
Amazon, you can transfer that over.
Amazon, you can transfer iTunes now too. There's no DRM on iTunes Music anymore.
No, I mean like your iTunes account when you die.
Yeah, but your iTunes Music is no DRM, so you can just give somebody the files and it'll work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah. The future.
I take that on my will.
Let's see what else. Google Play Store has a 25-cent app sale going on right now to celebrate 25 billion app downloads.
What was the last app you downloaded from Google Play Store?
An Instapaper clone for my Nexus.
Why not Instapaper?
Well, whatever. Instapaper for Android. I assumed. I didn't realize it was actually developed by Marco.
He
paid somebody.
He paid some. Oh,
okay, so then it was Instapaper for Android was probably the last thing. I might have downloaded a game or two. Maybe that zombie, the zombie shooter that works with the gamepad when we were testing that stuff out. It's funny. I don't use my Nexus with apps a lot. I usually just find myself reading on the Nexus. Wes, you're an Android user.
I was.
Oh, right.
Was an Android user. I didn't really download much of anything the last 3 months I was on Android because I rooted my phone, installed custom firmware, and then from that point on, it was kind of just waiting out the rest of the life of the phone. So I was real basics like, play music, Twitter, maps, and that was kind of all I was using day to day. Gmail.
Okay, good talk.
Yeah.
Hitachi announced a quartz glass data storage design, possibly available in 2015. Did you see this? It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what it looks like is, the little slide covers that you put on top of a microscope slide to seal in whatever you're trying to take a look at under a microscope?
It's like a small piece of square piece
of
plastic.
It's a square, small piece of glass or plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about that size, maybe 1 inch by 1 inch. And what they do is they can encode data with a laser in the surface of the glass, 3 layers thick at about the same density as a CD. So it's not massively dense data. But because they can do 3 layers, you end up with a fair amount of storage on a relatively small piece of glass. And the neat thing about it is because it's just etched in the surface of the glass, the data, you can actually read it with a regular optical microscope. So it's for archival purposes. The glass theoretically should last forever, as opposed to, say, CDs and DVDs, which burnables especially only have a
special type of glass?
30 or 40 years. It's quartz, I believe. So it's quartz glass.
I don't know.
Sounds easily breakable.
Yeah, or scratchable.
Well, like I said, archival use. So it's something that if you have data you need to keep for 1,000 years, you etch it on this stuff, put it in a case, put that in a vault, in a safe deposit box in a vault, and then you bury it under Switzerland. And theoretically, you should be okay. I thought it was neat. We see a lot of stuff like this. Whether it actually comes out or not, it remains to be seen. It seems like the kind of thing that would have massive startup costs, especially because like the ability to etch glass with lasers is kind of specialized now, and usually only found like laser cutters and stuff like that. You need a medium high powered laser to do that. So
it's good to always be looking for new storage mediums at any rate.
Well, the thing I saw, the thought I initially had when I saw that was, oh my God, it's hollow cubes, but it's not at all hollow cubes.
We're basically on the same type of storage medium. We've been on very few different types of storage mediums for the past 20 years.
40 years, really.
Oh, yeah. It's magnetic tape.
Right.
And then solid state.
And discs. Magnetic discs.
Magnets.
Yeah.
And solid state. That's it.
Well, and the optical stuff.
Yeah, but no one really uses optical for long-term storage. Blu-ray, maybe.
No, well, you can't use any of the dye-based stuff, but you can stamp discs and they last a long time. Assuming you don't read them that often.
Storage is going to be an increasingly big problem.
Yeah, backing things up to hard drives is real scary to me. Because I back all my stuff up to hard drives right now, and I feel like backing things up to hard drives is taking juggling loaded guns, basically.
The problem is that not only is more data being stored globally, individually, you're staving
exabytes, I think.
You're staving much more data on a day-to-day basis. You are processing much more data. And so data is not static. I mean, taking a photo with a camera, not only is on its face higher megapixel, like more megapixels saved, like higher detail. You're taking more photos because you have more cameras.
Mm-hmm.
You are crunching data by doing like searches and processing. That is all data in itself, the act of processing. And then the data itself is more valuable. People want to save more because there's more analysis done on it and there's more computing power. So in every sense that data can be manipulated and saved, we want more of it.
This is a Wolfram Alpha problem.
It's the petabyte problem.
The other thing that's going to happen is if the life logging stuff takes off and everybody's walking around wearing Google glasses 2 years from now, Google goggles 2 years from now, the amount of data we produce on a daily basis is going to increase exponentially.
Yeah, and storage has to keep up with that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, processing will keep up with that. Storage will eventually keep up with that. And then once the algorithms are done right to process all that stuff and we get, I mean, that really is a cultural shift, in a way that we can't comprehend right now.
Yep. The lightning cable, you have one right here, Norm.
Yeah, I do.
You're plugged in.
It's plugged into my phone.
The lightning cable, somebody took one apart and discovered it has an extra chip.
So lightning cable has 8 pins on each side.
Uh-huh.
And the pins are dynamically assigned depending on... So it knows, actually...
When you plug it
when
in.
it's one way up or the other way up. So that's how it can reverse the signals.
When you take apart the phone, there's only contacts on one side. This is the new USB cable for the iPhone. It's the dock.
Yep.
It's the dock connector replacement. There's only contacts on one side in the slot.
On the phone side.
Yeah. So that means that the pin 1 on one side is left, and pin 1 on the other side is on the right, depending on which way you.
So there is a 9th pin that will tell the cable will tell the cable what orientation it's in. And that will determine dynamically which of the pins send what data.
Oh, did somebody figure that out?
Yes.
I didn't see that. So there was a lot of controversy about the connector. There's concern that it could be a DRM chip for cables, which would be really lame. It's unclear exactly what it is, but it seems like it probably has to do with the routing signal determining it.
There was an extremely technical analysis of the lightning cable that I can post in the show notes. But basically, a lot of speculation. People were saying, why isn't it USB 3.0? And it goes beyond the cable because it goes to a lot of the way USB OSs process data from USB, and a lot of that stuff is limited to the hardware, like the SoC stuff.
So you're saying the current ARM architectures don't have USB 3 capabilities
natively, or
so you'd have to add an extra chip, and that adds space and time, and not good. The last thing that I saw today, this was fantastic. I posted it. It's a SIGGRAPH piece. Somebody has developed an augmented reality welding hood. What it does is it uses HDR processing techniques and a 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio camera, a pair of them actually, stereoscopically, put on a welding hood to let people who are welding actually see what they're working on in a way that's impossible using traditional filters and even LED filters and the kind of fancy stuff that that people use now. So what it does is it takes the input of the 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio camera and then uses HDR to kind of compress it into the visible range of the displays in the hood, and you can actually look and see the filament of the welding, the welding seam as it goes on, and gives you super precise control. Or they can use it for like education stuff like that. So if your professor, your welding teacher wants to teach you how to do a good weld, make sure you're actually doing it right. Sometimes you can finish the weld and you won't be able to see the work. This lets you see the work as it's going on. I thought that was super cool. And it's probably the first real augmented reality thing I've seen so far. I mean, there's been a lot of toys and kind of weird apps and stuff that doesn't work very well.
Most of them don't have a real concrete purpose. They're kind of just for funsies.
You mean that Yelp app where you can hold it up and it tells you what restaurant is over there?
The monocle.
It's fantastic.
Or what was there was a whole separate app that did just that, only augmented reality stuff.
Yeah, those people are gone by now.
Oh, really?
The one thing that was cool was that live translator. That was pretty useful. The Spanish to English translator.
What was it called? Make Me Spanish.
Bueno.
It was called Make Me Spanish.
Was it called Make Me Spanish?
No. No. I forget. Oh, God, what was it called? It's going to bug me for a week.
Well, you should look it up.
Let's see how many, what's the fewest number of terms I can search in Google that will tell me augmented reality.
While you do that, I'm going to play the music and we're going to talk about what we've been testing. Unless anybody has more news they'd like to talk about.
Word lens. Wow, first of all.
Word lens. That was great. That was exactly
4 words. Augmented reality.
High five. Nice job, Chan.
That's Google. Fist bump Google.
Google fist bumps back. Let's play the music. Any more news? We good?
I think that's pretty much
Time to talk about what we've been testing?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, Norman.
Hey, Will Smith.
What have you been testing?
I bought the iPhone 5, but I did not have to wait in line for it.
I waited in line for the iPhone 5.
So why don't you talk about your waiting in line experience?
It sucks. It's bad every year. I feel like a real fucking
Paint a word picture.
So Gary and I, Gary was really excited about waiting in lines this year. I don't know exactly what got into him.
Well, I think Gary turned his lemons into some orange juice.
Are you saying he just wanted to not be he wanted a peaceful night's sleep on the side of a road instead of with a screaming baby?
I think once he realized he had to camp to get the phone.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you a secret.
Because he could not bear not having it day one. Once he realized that was his only option to get it day one, he decided to make it a plus instead of a minus.
So the difference with Gary is that he hadn't not slept in 5 days and was getting ready to get on a red eye the night after we camped for the iPhone.
Regardless,
however,
he was very excited.
Yes. We didn't have to camp to get an iPhone. We could have come down at 6 o'clock in the morning and been totally cool on the iPhone getting front.
6 o'clock in the morning?
6 o'clock in the morning.
How long?
No problem.
Okay, so paint a work picture.
So we went to Stonestown Mall.
Okay. After recording the podcast last Thursday.
After work, Gary started doing some intel and asked a friend of ours who works at the Apple store to give a line report. And there were like 2 sad sacks out there at 6 o'clock at night.
How many people?
2.
2 people
maybe
waiting.
3.
Okay.
By 8 o'clock, that had grown to maybe a half dozen. And
the plan for you guys was midnight.
Well, the plan initially was midnight, and then when we got the early reports, I was like, no, I'm going to get up at 4 and go down then and just not have to take lawn chairs and shit out.
Okay, so you're going to stand at 4.
Like we did for the iPhone 4.
That was around
4 at 4.
Around 4 a.m. Sure.
You showed up at 4, and I showed up at like 4:15, I think.
Sure. Okay.
And then Gary started getting anxious, and about 10 o'clock...
Antsy and whiny.
At 10 o'clock, he
Come on, Will.
He said,
come on.
I think we should...
Come on.
I think we should go down at midnight. I'm afraid we aren't going to get the colors or network we want. And I was like, oh, Christ, really? So
what the fuck?
So I was sitting at this point, I was sitting on the thing waiting, playing FTL, trying to stay awake until we either made a go or no go decision.
So this was a high risk maneuver for you because you could have gone to bed early and had a good night's sleep and woken up at 4.
Yes.
But you decided to wait until close to midnight to get the go, no go.
Yes, that was the decision.
Okay to go. Go.
So we made the go decision. I loaded up the car. I took the Goal Zero battery pack, which is awesome. It's awesome for waiting in line outside of consumer electronics stores, which you should never do because it's really bad. And we had the MiFi, and we just sat around on the internet for a couple hours, and then we took a nap.
So how many people were there when you got there at midnight?
Maybe 30.
30 people ahead of you?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
At
that point, it's almost not worth staying up overnight.
I'm not driving back to my house at midnight to come back up at 6.
Okay.
So
you had lawn chairs.
So we had lawn
Did you
chairs.
have a cooler?
No, Gary was bringing a cooler and then failed. Wow. I was bringing sleeping bags. We had sleeping bags.
Okay, very good.
So you had nothing to eat or drink the whole time?
I had coffee, but there's pros and cons with coffee, and there's a bathroom situation when you're waiting in the line.
Oh, no bathrooms.
No, they had portalettes, which is worse than no bathrooms.
Was it right by the line, so it smelled the entire time?
It was further back on the line, but across the little street. So we were lined up along the outside of the mall in the saddest way possible.
Wow.
It was pretty much the opposite of the.
I've done my one
Street.
wait outside of mall thing for decades, so that's it.
Was that where you always wait?
No. I've done my waiting outside of mall.
For the 4S.
For the Amazing Race, and that's it. No more waiting outside of malls.
That was terrible too. It was a much nicer mall.
So, describe the people in line.
Most of them seem to be buying the iPhone for resale.
And Gary described them as gangsters.
Many of them were asking questions like, do I have to give my name to buy this phone? Or do you guys take cash? Which is the most popular one? I'll take that. So they sold a lot of AT&T 16 gigabyte black phones.
Wow. On contract or off contract, you think?
Aren't contract. Full price.
$650.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I thought they weren't selling. It's unlocked phones.
Yeah, they do not sell. Apple doesn't sell the unlocked phones, which are same price, but basically not tied to any network.
Yeah.
But they don't begin selling those until a few weeks or months after they sell.
Everybody seems to be much better about unlocked phones. The Verizon phone is unlocked if you're on a GSM carrier.
Yep.
So there were a lot of people. There were a handful of college kids in front of us who were clearly on the, hey son, if you'll go wait in line to get me an iPhone 5, I'll pay for your iPhone 5.
Wow. Must be nice.
That sounds like a deal.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I would have done that if I was
college kids too, they have energy. So at around 6 o'clock, because the Apple Store opened at 8, how many people were in line, would you say?
So it was wrapped around to Macy's or JCPenney's or whatever the next big shopping center is there, which is probably 300 feet. It was pretty spread out at that point.
Okay, so
but when they crunched the line in and made everybody put up their chairs, then it still reached Macy's.
There's no doubt that if you had got there at 6 a.m., you would have gotten a phone that day. No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
But the whole point of getting there early, midnight, and doing the whole overnight is to be one of the first people in, so you could have Friday and not spend all Friday.
I was out at 9 a.m., which was nice.
So you were out in an hour with about 30 people ahead of you.
Yeah.
So about 2 minutes per person. So if there were about 300 people, it would have taken about 2.5 hours to get through that line.
Probably a little bit longer, because I think the longer they go, the more hiccups they hit. And when, like, for example, you couldn't get through to Verizon if there's
So if you got there at 6, you would have been out at maybe noon.
Probably.
Okay.
Which would have been okay, because I would have slept instead of going home and having to take a nap.
Yeah.
So we slept on the lawn chairs for a little while.
Were they the nice fold-out lawn chairs? Were your feet supported?
No, I used the sleeping bag to support my feet.
So it was a.
It was like an airplane seat, basically.
Oh, okay. Oh,
was not good sleep.
No, because if you had the cooler, you could lift up your feet.
Yeah, if we had a cooler, we could have lifted up our feet. That is a true statement.
Did Gary sleep?
Gary slept pretty hard. Yeah, he slept at least 4 hours. I slept maybe 2.
All right, that's good.
We had the MiFi, so we had internet. That was nice.
Okay.
There were a couple people who were around us. So I'm going to give some pro tips for waiting in line.
Wow. No, step 1, don't wait in line.
Step 1 is waiting in line is always dumb. Step 2 is bring a chair. Chair is very important for the line waiting. Step 3 is bring some sort of blanket, even if you're someplace that's warm. Wear warm clothes, because at 2 o'clock in the morning, shit's cold, even if you're in San Francisco. Especially if you're in San Francisco. The poor girl sitting next to me on the floor by the end of the night, was squatting up on her tiptoes so that she didn't have to touch the ground. She was so cold, but she wouldn't take any blankets or anything. So whatever.
I wouldn't take a blanket from you.
I wouldn't. I'm clearly filthy. Step 4, bring a hat. Bring a nice hat.
A beanie is always a good idea.
Yeah.
Your head is where 50% of the heat leaves your body.
Exactly. That's pretty much it. Nice thing about this is when Starbucks opened at 6, then so did the inside bathroom. So that was a big step up.
Wow, that's good. It's a not happy bathroom.
No, that bathroom. The thing is, that bathroom at midnight was totally fine because nobody had used it yet. But by 6 a.m., not good. Really gross. And
did they come out?
Bring a flashlight.
Did they come out and bring?
They didn't.
Bring a lantern?
They brought coffee this year, but there were no pastries. They brought pastries on the 4 year, didn't they?
It was bagels.
Yeah, I would have taken bagels.
Bagels, not like no cream cheese though, just bagels.
I would have taken a plain bagel at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's pretty much
or a cooler.
The flashlight. Bring a flashlight
or a lantern.
That Brooklyn Lantern, not real good.
Really?
I don't want to say anything.
Okay.
Don't tell Gary I said that. He'll be really hurt. But that thing, it was either
you
way
should have
too...
seen Gary's message to me when he realized he could bring the Brooklyn Lantern.
Oh, I know.
Because he brought 3 of them. He was reciting his version of the Green Lantern oath with iPhones, talking about holding the lantern out in line.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
He was so excited.
Without a doubt, the saddest thing I've ever heard. So what do you think about the iPhone, Norm?
I think this. I think it is a. I have both the iPhone 4S and the 5 in front of me, and having used the iPhone now for 6 days.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Oh yeah, it's 6 days.
6 days, and picking up the 4S. The 4S feels, even without a case, feels much heavier.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a chunky ass phone.
It not only feels heavier, it feels heftier. It feels like this is a phone, and that is incredible.
That's a hard swing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the thinness and the lightness is really something that I have gotten used to now, and it is amazing.
Never go back.
I almost wish they kept it to 3.5 inches because I'm not really seeing massive benefits with the 4-inch screen. I'm not seeing massive disadvantage with the 4-inch screen, like problems with the swiping and scrolling and stuff. And most of my apps, I want to say 95% of my apps are updated now, the ones I use, including Instagram and Chrome, which were not updated until yesterday.
And Sparrow.
4-inch screen is nice. It's really the thinness and lightness. It's incredible.
Yeah, I like the new colors. I like the new screen a lot.
You know, people talk about that camera being much better. Yes, you can take lower light photos. But I still would not use, at a certain point, just use the flash.
That's true.
For a camera phone.
Yeah. It's a great camera phone.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how the Lumia 920 does. The pictures that people are showing of that from that event seem pretty amazing, the London event.
I really think it's I do not like those entire movies or music videos shot with iPhones. Like as a look what smartphone cameras can do.
Well, that's a stunt that you do to get your video noticed when it otherwise wouldn't be.
Yeah, but the point that they're making is pointless.
I understand, but you're not listening to what I'm saying.
I know.
That is a publicity stunt that you do if your band is not getting...
I'm saying I dislike that those videos get so much attention. I dislike that people argue that, oh my God, did you see that video? Like that shot completely with an iPhone. These camera phones are getting so amazing, and yes, the sensors are getting better. But I'm thinking about this whole best camera is the one that you always have with you argument, and I think the best camera is the camera. The best camera is your willingness to take a better camera.
Yeah, I mean, like there have been times in the last year when I was really, really glad that I had my Sony camera in my bag. Like when that crazy double rainbow was over Soma a few weeks ago. Yeah. If I had had my iPhone, I would have been really
have more willpower to be burdened by a heavier
It means
camera.
Carry a man purse everywhere you go, or just
I can put this in my jacket pocket like I did all day today.
That's true. I don't have a jacket.
Traveling around New York, put it in my jacket pocket.
I need a better jacket, Norm. That's the real problem.
The best camera is the camera you can fit in is the one you fit in a bigger jacket pocket.
That's Norm's axiom.
I'm still working on it.
Okay, it doesn't have the ring to it of
progress is
the
slow.
Best camera is the one.
I'm working on a new axiom.
Okay, I'll take what you can. So yeah, I like it a lot. I don't like the white one particularly. I think the scuff stuff. What?
You don't like the white? Well, okay, no, I agree. The black one is so much better.
The black one is awesome.
The black one. Look at yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, the black one is awesome.
The problem is that the black one looks awesome when it's off. And the white one looks like a big ass white phone with a huge black screen when it's off.
The black one looks better at night.
I wish the black one had a white screen the white one had a white screen when it was off. I wish that was possible. That's all I want.
You could get like a white Post-it note or something.
So Phil Schiller did respond to someone's email about the scuffing. Yeah. And he says, deal with it, basically.
Really?
Well, he said scuffing is natural for aluminum products.
Did he respond with a GIF?
No. It was,
oh my God.
That would have been amazing. Confirmed headers in his emails show that Phil Schiller responded with, deal with it. If you remember, the very first iPhone had an aluminum back, and that was scuffed to hell.
Yeah, mine looked like garbage by the end.
Especially that shiny Apple logo part was so. Just expect that with this iPhone.
Makes me sad. The white one seems to be much sturdier than the black one so far.
Sturdier?
Just from a scuffing perspective.
Oh, okay.
because there's no anodization. It's just like a slightly treated outside. But now that the apps are being updated,
I got my first drop call today too.
You got your first one?
Drop call.
Really?
So I don't think the antenna's any better.
Oh, I haven't had any drop
AT&T.
calls yet. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. I love Verizon. It's pretty awesome so far. I can use my phone everywhere. Works in the subway. It works in
your phone
the
does
airport.
not work in the subway.
Sometimes. More than yours. Better than yours. How do you like your another 2 years of subservience to the corporate teat?
I've used 3 gigabytes of LTE already.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're 2 gigabytes closer to throttling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me know how that goes for you. I don't know what I've used yet. I haven't looked. I've been afraid to. Ooh, wow, 910 megabytes already. That's not good. Those speed tests take a lot of data.
No, they
turns
don't.
out.
No, they do
looked?
not. They do not take
Do it right now.
at all.
This is a terrible conversation. Let's see, what else have we done? I've been using New York subway apps, which has been really interesting because the last time I was in New York and rode the subway, there was no such thing as a smartphone that had apps like this. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that apps like Embark and HopStop, which are the 2 I've been using, make this a shitload easier.
Embark has been really good to all of us, I think, this trip.
It's interesting because it's the Google. So I've been comparing it kind of casually to the Google Maps directions using the website. And they usually are more or less the same, but frequently Embark will be a little bit smarter about things like express trains and put you on the express stop so that you don't have to stop at 35 stations along the way.
Well, also, like that, even it knows that it's a user experience thing. When you're in the subway, you're most likely not going to have good reception or reception at all. But it still caches your last search directions, and also, I mean, it's mostly
your bookmarks.
offline. Yeah. And it has a map that you can scroll through really quickly.
Well, and it'll route you if you go station to station rather than landmark to landmark.
Yeah.
So it gives you the option of, I think HopStop is quite good. The one thing that they do is that some websites will have HopStop, like a HopStop button that you can hit and it'll give you HopStop directions that you can then send to your phone or whatever. It is ad supported. The Embark directions seem to cache better. It seems to do a little bit better with the expresses and stuff like that, although I haven't really used it enough to tell that for sure.
Is there even a paid version of Embark, or is it
I looked for a paid version too, because I usually will pay $1 to avoid ads. I didn't see one, so maybe they're baiting or whatever. It seems like the MTA here has a program where they're doing like a kind of bounty or reward system or for good transit-based apps. So Embark was like, I saw a poster for that in Subway last night. Embark was one of the apps listed. HopStop wasn't. So maybe you have to be not ad supported in order to be eligible for the contest.
Well, it's certainly good for people on Apple Maps now who need something to tell them where to go.
Yeah. And like I said, I felt like it was as good as I think having a more specialized solution for that isn't. Like I find it really, really unfortunate that Apple Maps are worse as a result of the upgrade. But I think I would have probably not used a dedicated app, and I'm probably getting a better experience with the dedicated app.
I think the issue with dedicated, at least like in San Francisco, is as far as I've heard, there's not a good app that does both Uni and BART.
No.
So in New York, when the subway system here, it's awesome because it goes everywhere. But in San Francisco, that's kind of a problem.
It's also a lot easier on Muni and BART too.
True.
The one thing that Embark and the other apps I've used break down is that they're not good for buses. So Embark will give you walking directions when you leave the subway station, and then that's it. You like if it would be easier to hop on a bus, you don't have any of that information, so you have to use a separate app for bus travel, which is unfortunate. Let's see what else. We posted the video with Dejer Molinar, who has built something kind of insane and awesome.
Yeah, he's built a flying car.
It's a flying motorcycle.
You know, just like a helicopter is kind of like an airplane.
No, a helicopter is a helicopter. It's fixed wing bodies versus movable wing bodies.
Just like a motorcycle, still it's a car.
It's a wheeled vehicle.
Sure,
it is not a car. Car has doors and walls and 4 wheels. This thing has 3 wheels and a propeller and a rotor.
It will have doors in the future.
Maybe, but it is at this point it is a motor.
He has a vehicle that flies and is street legal.
Right, and it splits lanes. Can you split lanes in a car?
Well, Batman can. Batman makes
fair
his own
enough.
lanes.
Okay, fair. Batman does make his own lanes. So he is a gyrocycle, is what he calls it, which is also why I think it's a motorcycle, not a car.
Okay.
But the idea is that it is a motorcycle engine on a kind of really long motorcycle body with a cockpit, basically. And in a very short period of time, he said 30 minutes on the new model, which is in progress, and probably five or 10 minutes on the new model, which is in progress, and about 30 on the original prototype. He can switch it from motorcycle mode to gyrocopter mode.
So this is not a car that will automatically transform.
You can't hit a button.
Driving to flying.
Oh my god, that would be so awesome.
You do have to park on the side of the road.
Yeah, or at an airport, more likely.
Yes, and then you make some adjustments.
Yep.
Whip out the props,
Mm-hmm.
bring out the
Landing gear,
which is very important.
lift the rotor.
Yep, and then you can fly, take off.
Yeah.
in 20 feet.
So it's a gyrocopter. I knew enough about gyrocopters to be dangerous before we talked to Dejer. But so the gyrocopter started with autogyros, which were basically planes in the 1920s that had wings and propellers and a rotor as well. And they used everything to generate lift and thrust, and they could launch them off the top of buildings in New York. And it was a crazy potential, like almost like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow type future. They ended up not taking off because I think they were a little bit unsafe. But gyrocopters came out of that, and they've been kit available for a long time from with the same kind of people that make ultralights and things like that.
You could buy a kit for $5,000. All you need is an engine to provide thrust for your propeller.
Yeah,
and which creates moving air, which will create lift.
Yeah, so the way they work is the rotor is unlike a helicopter where the rotors are powered. On a gyrocopter, the rotors spin because of drag as you move forward, and they generate lift purely through passive means. So they spin as you move forward, they generate lift, and then you suddenly can take off. And they have very short takeoff and landing distances, very low stall speed.
That's the crazy part, that with air passing horizontally, through against the rotor, blade, you get lift vertically.
Mm-hmm. It turns into a lifting surface.
Yes.
They are
enough lift to lift up several hundred pounds.
So the gyrocopter designs, like the ones that used to make out of launmower engines, were a little bit unsafe because their center of gravity was.
You buy off the back of a Boy Scout magazine.
And I don't think they would have sold a gyrocopter in the Boy Scout magazine. Hovercraft.
Hover cars.
We should build one of those.
I don't think they really work. You had to have a vacuum cleaner.
I feel like I might have seen this on MythBusters actually. Because isn't that thing that's hanging up in Adam's shop? Is a Boy's Life hovercraft that they made? Seems familiar. Anyway, the short body ones that you used to make out of like lawnmowers basically were real tipsy. And basically, once you go upside down in a gyrocopter, you're doomed. There's nothing you can do. You're going to fall like a stone.
The rotors do not work the other direction.
Yes, it only works one way.
Yeah, you kind of have to have a parachute underneath your car. Underneath your
I wish I had a parachute underneath my gyrocopter. Mm-hmm. I wish I had a gyrocopter. So what Dejer, he built this gyro cycle. He's taken it out to the salt flats and has gone like 180, 200 miles an hour in motorcycle mode. Mm-hmm. So it goes faster as a motorcycle than it does as a gyrocopter.
It's very light.
It's very light. There's a lot of carbon fiber. He's building it out of the Cal-Free bike shop. And those guys have made carbon fiber bikes for a long time, and they're making cool bamboo bikes now. We're going to go back and visit them again soon. But the bike goes very, very fast. It uses normal gas, so it's a normal motorcycle, 4-stroke motorcycle engine. It passes emissions, so it can drive on the road. But when he puts the rotors on, he powers it off the same motor, obviously. And there's a big prop between the motor and the passenger compartment, and that provides all the thrust that it needs to take off and get going. The one thing that you do have to do is lift the back end of the bike up with the landing gear so that the prop has room to spin, and then extend the rotor. And that's pretty much it. It looked like it was ready to fly when we were there, the prototype.
Oh, yeah. Would you sit in it?
I'd sit in it.
Would you fly in it?
No, thanks. I'm good. Would you
trust
fly in
Dejer
it?
as a pilot?
Well, the one that he had that flies right now is a single seater.
Yeah.
So I don't trust me as a pilot. I definitely trust Dejer as a pilot. I don't know that I'm quite ready to live that far out on the edge. How about you, Norm?
I trust him.
Would you get in? Would you fly?
Yeah.
Okay.
I fly.
Would you ride it at 200 miles per hour on the ground?
Have you ever done anything that's like faster than 100 miles an hour on the ground?
I've driven faster than 100 miles per hour on the ground.
In what kind of car?
In a Mercedes.
Okay.
I would not. I've never driven
like a big Mercedes or a 2-seater Mercedes.
Like a 4-seater Mercedes.
Yeah. See, that's not that scary. If you've gone like a low slung roadster where your ass is 3 inches off the ground, 100 miles an hour,
I'm sure that's much more exhilarating.
that's a whole different level of fear.
182 miles per hour would be even more. I don't think I've been in a vehicle that's not an airplane that's gone over, or I guess train.
No, you've never been in a train that goes over, unless you've been to Japan.
150 miles per hour?
There's no trains in the United States that go 150 miles an hour.
So I don't think I've been in anything that goes over 150 miles
Except
per
for
hour.
a plane.
Except for a plane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'd like
the fastest I've ever been in a car is about 120
It's
miles an hour, and it's not good. We used to have jet skis when I was a kid that would go like 75 miles an hour on water. That's terrifying.
Water speed feels way faster
Yeah.
than car speed. Like I haven't really done much skiing, but I've done tubing and like kneeboarding and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going 30 miles an hour, already it feels
You should never go
fast.
30 miles an hour unless you're like barefoot skiing. That's the point. Like if you're slaloming or something like that, 20, 25 is it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked to Dejer. You should definitely watch the video. It's an amazing video. He's a super interesting guy, and he's making this. He's not making this because he wants to sell them or change the world or anything. He's making it because he wants a gyrocopter. Like that is super clear.
Yeah.
He wants something that he can take out on the road and go explore the world.
He honestly believes that it is more efficient, that life is better if people were more mobile and more in control of their own destiny. So
Yeah.
it really is a like 50s mentality of if you had a car, you could do anything.
On the road, man.
Yeah. But he wants to take that one step further and fly.
Right. So when he puts in gyrocopter mode, he can go. I mean, he said he thinks he can go as high as he can get air in the engine.
10,000 feet.
10,000 feet, 12,000 feet.
He can go 110 miles per hour.
And he can go 110 miles an hour in the gyrocopter, and he can land at about 20 feet. He said.
Yeah.
So I mean, he said
Very gas efficient.
well, in the air, not so much. On the ground, definitely. He said 800-mile range in the air. I mean, on the
800?
ground,
Okay.
on the ground rather. Yeah, and he flew so he hadn't flown we didn't get to see him flying the prototype because it was a little windy that day. But the prototype, he said he had about 4 hours on, and then just got to a point where he didn't want to risk. Like he'd learned all he could from flying it, and wanted to move on to building the second generation, the more finished bike. And is working on that now. Is trying to raise money to finish the rotors and stuff like that for it. So, yeah, definitely check out the video. It's on the site. I thought it was super cool. What else have we been testing? I got one of those Mophie battery packs because when we were going on a trip with brand new phones, I was worried that we wouldn't have enough battery for all day with iPhone 5s because you never know how that's going to go. I'm glad I bought it because we don't have enough battery all day for iPhone 5s.
Yeah.
I can't tell whether it's worse than the 4S. It's definitely not better. What are you feeling, Norm? Are you using it a lot?
I'm using it a lot.
Yeah.
LTE means I use it a lot.
Yeah. So LTE and it's the thing is when you travel, you use your phone a lot. When the phone is new, you use the phone a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm using it a lot. I'm definitely using my phone a lot more than I had been in the past.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. I think when we get back to the office, we'll know more what battery life is actually like.
And even when you have like a battery percentage indicator on, it's not a linear degradation curve. Like
I'm not getting that at all.
you're getting straight. Like,
It seems pretty
5
straight.
minutes, 1%. No, it takes me like 15 minutes for 1%.
It depends on how much data I'm using.
Suddenly at like 80%, it drops to 60 real fast.
I have not seen that at all. Gina said that though as well too. So maybe there's something.
I'm
Maybe it's
pretty
because your
sure-
phone's black. Whoa. Just saying. New York City, Norm.
We're in New York, to reiterate.
The Big Apple.
A lot of brick around here.
I'm real tired.
Yeah.
We've been going hard.
We've mostly been testing food, I think, here in New York.
Well, yeah, we went to the Intrepid. We're going to do some stuff tomorrow. We have a big day planned shooting on Friday. And of course, we're going to be at Maker Faire all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So if you see us there, say hi. What's your favorite? We went to Momofuku last night. Had pork buns, unlike pork buns I've ever eaten before.
I went to Katz's Deli today.
How was Katz's? That's a big tourist spot, I hear.
It's awesome. Well worth it.
Was there a line?
No line for me.
Really?
Yeah.
They had a special Norm Chan area?
Yeah, I walked up to the front.
What time were you there?
1:45.
Oh, it's Yom Kippur too, so that could have had something to do with it.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Gentiles Day at Katz's Deli. See, what else have we done? I mean, we've gone out and seen a lot of stuff, I feel like.
You saw Judge Dredd 3D.
Oh, God. So we took a red eye here, which always seems like a good idea when you're booking the plane, because Norm, as I recall, said, oh, yeah, we'll get there. We'll be there a day early. We can hang around in the city. We can see some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We took off from San Francisco at 11 o'clock at night. We landed here at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Perfect.
Couldn't check into the Airbnb until 3 p.m.
That left you 8 hours.
And 12 bags, because we have all the camera gear.
So check into a hotel, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we did.
Weren't you going to do that?
We found a friend who let us stash our bags at his place. And then we were going to go out and explore the city, and we started on our explorations with breakfast, which seemed a good start.
We did explore the city, but maybe not in the mindset that we all wanted.
Well, yeah, so we got going, and we went to breakfast, and everybody had a bunch of coffee, and we were like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then somebody said, hey, we're near Tompkins Square Park. Let's go check that out. That seems like it's a famous place, and you can buy crack there, too. So that's nice. And then we realized we'd spent 20 minutes staring at squirrels because everybody was just kind of zoned out. And then
that's not what Joey said. Joey says you guys were in the park.
Well, first we all looked at squirrels, and then I looked at squirrels some more. And coincidentally, on the other side of the squirrels was the children's playground. So maybe I was creepily staring at the playground. Maybe I was looking at squirrels. It's impossible to say with any certainty.
Wow.
I was looking at squirrels.
Is that what your lawyer told you to say?
The perception may have been different. Mistakes were made.
It was a dark hour in the park for all of us.
In the midday.
Yeah, so I turned around after the squirrels stopped being interesting. I turned around, and Wes and Joey were both head on hand on their knees, looking at the ground. And so at that point, I called the woman who was running us the place. Like, hey, is there any way we can get an early check-in? She's like, I was going to actually just call you and see if you could check in later. And I said, oh, fuck, you got to be kidding me. That's not cool. And so we went to see Judge Dredd because I figured, worst case, we could pay $15 to go take a nap.
I thought it was great.
It was much better than I expected.
Yeah.
Revitalized you.
It did. I absorbed energy from the screen and was good until 3 when we got to the house, and then we all kind of crashed after that.
I came back dead even. Sharp-eyed viewers will note that Wes has a Nintendo World bag directly beside him. Did you buy Jamie's too, or is that just Joey?
No, those are
this is Norm's
my Nintendo World bag.
What did you buy at Nintendo World?
I bought gifts.
Oh. Well, fine then.
Yeah.
Did you get me something?
No. You were also at Nintendo World.
We went to 30 Rock. We went to Rockefeller Plaza. Mm-hmm. We took some really ridiculous photos. We went to the Lego store. We saw where the ice skating rink is when it's ice skating season.
When I was at Rockefeller Plaza, I was like, "Wow, this is like downtown." But that's
kind of downtown.
That's like
it's midtown-y.
It's Times Square, bigger, and then real downtown, even bigger.
Yeah, we haven't been to real downtown yet, unless Castelli is real downtown.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. We'll go to real downtown on Friday. So yeah, that's it for our New York adventure. Do you want to take some questions and call it a show?
Let's do that.
I'm going to. I thought you were going to say something else, so I wasn't ready for that.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
We don't do emails. We do
emails.
No.
Questions.
Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Please keep them short, under 45 seconds. Make sure they don't sound like you were recording them from a Skrillex video. And that's pretty much it. Here's the first question.
Hey, Will, Norm, Gary, and company. This is Taylor from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Last week, I was hung over as balls, and this resulted in me running over my Galaxy S2. I didn't mind too much, because it gave me a pretty good excuse to go get myself a Galaxy S3 and not feel too bad about the unplanned spending. I was wondering if any of you have had any similar boneheaded mistakes that have resulted in you destroying your cellular device or similarly expensive electronics. For some hometown trivia, Halifax, Nova Scotia was the home of the Halifax Explosion, which was the largest man-made explosion before Hiroshima. Thanks, and always be testing.
Remember we went to E3 that year and I dropped my first iPhone 2 weeks before the iPhone 3GS came out?
Yes, we spent the entire afternoon, one going to an Apple store, then going to
where
another
they did
Apple
not
store,
help with my dropped iPhone.
and then waiting in an AT&T store where you got a BlackBerry Bold.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Wow.
Well, I figured it was good. Like, that was my last chance to experience BlackBerry.
Well, that was before everybody knew BlackBerry was
Doomed.
doomed.
You got it with. I remember the words were, "I'm gonna get this BlackBerry so I get some experience with it. I'm just gonna give it to my wife."
Yeah, she wanted a new BlackBerry. And then she saw the iPhone and was like, no, I want an iPhone instead. So I had to pay a restocking fee when I returned the new BlackBerry.
I really want to know the logistics of how he ran over his Galaxy S2.
Did you not hear that he was hungover as balls?
Yes, balls hung over.
With a car.
Yeah, of course.
So it fell out of his pocket.
No, it could have been like he was riding a bike. And
No.
It fell out of his front pocket, dipping down while going downhill, and then he ran over it with the bike.
What if he's like a BMX biker and he was doing flips and stuff off jumps and it just flew out of his pocket? That could happen.
I had the ocean eat my phone.
The ocean did.
Two weeks after I bought it.
The 4?
Yep. No.
3GS. 4.
3GS.
No, it had to be the 4.
4. It was 4.
It was tested.
4. It was
because you carried that bag of rice around. Then it was 3GS. If it was
that's right. It was 3GS.
You were just carrying around your phone and a bag of rice. Yes. It was really sad. Then you tried to take it back and get them to exchange it. And what happened?
And they opened it up and said, water has been inside.
You were almost there.
I was almost there.
Yeah. And then he said, let me open this up. And you saw the look of fear in your eyes when they opened up and saw the corrosion.
Yeah.
I've always been lucky with phones. I haven't, lucky or careful. I've never broken one or lost one yet.
Knock on wood, Wes.
But about 6 months ago, I did half rip a PCIe port out of my motherboard.
How the hell did you do that?
Mistakes were made.
Did you not push the release?
I didn't push the release. I thought I'd push the release, but I couldn't see it because it was obscured.
Well, that's
by the
always
card.
the problem.
Yeah, and the card was too big for my case, but I had managed to get it in there after like an hour of effort. And in getting it out, I thought I'd pushed the release, and I hadn't. And so I thought
So you just yanked?
I thought it was just stuck, yeah, and I pulled real hard.
Did you put your foot on the case and lift with your back?
I lifted hard, yeah, and I half stripped the port off.
When you say, hold on, you have to explain this more because this is ridiculous. You mean you pulled the plastic of the port off of the board?
Yeah, like the pins were still attached, but I pulled the back one half of the plastic part off.
Wow!
And the crazy thing is, when I put a new card in, it actually still worked. And then I took that card out and put a different card in, and it hasn't worked since. But it's okay because I have another one.
Board or card?
Port.
So you have a dangling ass PCI Express card port slot in your existing PC?
I mean, you could call it dangling. It's not really.
Dangling implies something.
It's like a quarter inch off the board.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
It's not.
Wes, you win this one.
It's not too evident if you look at it.
You win this one.
But
has anyone used Passbook?
Computer still works. It's all good.
I signed up for a bunch of apps that have Passbook. I still have the Passbook is the simplest way to get all your passes in one place. Boarding passes, tickets, store cards, coupons, App Store.
Yep, I have no apps that work with Passbook.
No, I even signed up for Starbucks app and it doesn't support Passbook yet.
What? Really?
No, I could get Target or Sephora to go. Gina used it for American Airlines the other day. She said it was exactly what you would expect.
I'm excited for this to be widely supported. I hope it becomes so because it seems like a real nice convenience. One step short of NFC, but
if Virgin supports it, I would be very happy. One more question?
All right.
Hey, Tester Crew, this is Always Be Clothing, and I have a hypothetical combat scenario for you. In a world where society has crumbled and man is fighting fellow man due to possibly the The Walking Dead, or nuclear winter, or some kind of apocalypse, you have been given the technology to draw forth a single weapon from any game in your Steam library. What is the weapon that you would choose, knowing that you may have to fight the people in your very room? As a follow-up, would you rather have the ability to trade a weapon with a single opponent, or would you rather have the ability to disable both yours and an opponent's weapon temporarily? Thank you, and always be testing.
The second question is unnecessary and too complicated. I'll only care about the first question.
Okay, so you are expunging the second question. Really, the portal gun?
Answer is always portal gun.
But does it retain the powers of the world in the game?
Because then you could only use it on the moon or
moon-based surfaces. Oh wait, Norm doesn't know that because he never finished Portal 2.
That is true.
Spoilers. There are massive limitations to the portal gun that become clear midway through Portal 2. So Norm, do you want to change your question about the answer to the second question?
I said this guy had a dream 2 nights ago about killing raccoons with portal gun. I was dropping them from increasingly high places, and they were getting closer, and I was freaking out because I was putting the portal. They were dropping closer to me. Nope. Put a hole back down.
Was this here?
It was here. One of the things I've discovered is that because I am sharing a room with Wes here, is that when I wake up, if Wes is up, the first thing I do is tell him about my dream.
Really?
This is, I'm not sure that I'm liking it because they're all kind of fucked up.
What was the most fucked up one so far?
Like this morning, because I'm afraid I forget. And I always remember my dream. This morning, I had a dream that was a combination
Oh my god.
of Groundhog Day,
Yeah.
but in every day that repeated itself, everyone in that around me was dying. It was Groundhog Day plus Final Destination. But they were all actors and they knew it. They were going to die.
That's very meta. Did they die over and over again, the same ones?
Over and over again, the same ones.
Oh, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my Steam list right now.
My weapon would be the nano rifle from Red Faction Guerrilla.
The one that can disassemble stuff?
Yeah, because then there's no gore, there's no real guilt. Somebody's just there and then they're gone. So you could really,
Hold on, wait. So you're saying if you kill someone with a gun that doesn't make
that's not very
blood?
practical
You don't
for
have to feel
getting
bad about
through
it.
environments.
how is
See, the portal gun is awesome if it worked the way it works to
Actually,
it dissolves
No,
anything you shoot with it?
you know what? The portal gun, though, is... See, you fucked up on 2 counts. Because A, you have to have moon for the portal gun to work. B, you don't have the leg things that let you fall from massive heights. Because without the leg things, it's like the time the guys asked for Wolverine claws, and they didn't ask for super health regeneration. They just had bloody claws all the time, spewing blood everywhere and
I remember
screaming.
that time. It was very unfortunate for everyone involved.
So you're going to do the first portal jump and think, oh man, this is awesome, and then shattered legs to your hips.
And then you slowly bleed to death.
Is there like a battle suit I can wear?
You already gave up you wasted your wish.
I didn't waste my wish. Oh no, my wish. I made the old Disney mistake. I wasted my wish.
I don't know what I want.
Now you will never marry a princess.
Now I will never be a prince.
Oh, you're a frog for life. Yeah, I don't know what I want. What can I do the most damage with? I think maybe I want an op. It's one shot kill, even if you shoot somebody on the foot.
Heavy. You're very slow with it.
Oh, that's true.
One of those, the triple rocket launcher from Unreal Tournament.
Yeah,
No,
it's very slow. Too
that's
slow.
a horrible,
BFG
hard to
would
hit.
be good.
And not enough ammo for the BFG around.
So something that has to be infinite ammo.
Or that you can pick the ammo up and reuse it.
Or
The zombie apocalypse, that's
a
important.
melee weapon.
The gun from
Melee
Fallout
weapons are
3
for
that
chumps.
just shoots junk.
That one's okay.
A mystical
cannon.
melee weapon.
Which melee weapon?
I don't know. Some type of mystical melee weapon. I don't know.
The golden gun.
From
It's on your Steam account.
Goldeneye?
Sure.
You don't have Goldeneye for PC.
Isn't the new one coming out on PC?
In your Steam account today, Wes Fenlon, follow the rules.
Yeah, I already put my answer out there, so.
I think that I would probably go with something that catches people on fire. Because I want to feel the pain of every death that I inflict. You know what I would take? I would take the soldier's rocket. I would take the Dr. Grodbert's rocket launcher from TF2. Infinite ammo. And it disintegrates people. Both of those things seem like they would be very good to have. Maybe the pistol's better, though, because it penetrates. If you're dealing with a zombie apocalypse, you want to go through as much stuff as you can.
I think the burning would be more useful in case of zombies.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. World War Z said burning is bad against zombies because the burn zombies just keep going. Like it takes a lot of burning to take a zombie out.
Mm-hmm.
It's much better off with a 22 rifle and a whole shitload of ammo. So that'll do it for questions this week. If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@test.com. For Norman Chan and Wesley Fenlon, do we have any more stuff to plug? There was an interview with Gary on PA Report today about episode 4 of Walking Dead. I feel like we should plug that. It was a good interview. You should watch it.
Okay.
Anything for you to plug, Norm? I like your t-shirt. It's a good shirt.
I thought it was okay t-shirt.
Since you're all record legit now. Wes, anything to plug?
We've got a couple cool interviews going up in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just depends on how much time we dedicate to Maker Faire stuff, but coming soon.
Sounds good. The anime thing you did a couple weeks ago was
Last week.
I guess. Seems like a long time ago. It was quite good too.
That was fun.
People should read that. We should have talked about that today, but I'm tired of talking now. So I'm going to play some music. This is the outro. It's from Madden Man. And then we're going to have a brief episode of Fake Outtakes. Hi there. I didn't see you.
Tested.
Good looking robot.
It's roll. There's some more shots from
Damn,
space.
Curiosity, you look sexy tonight. I know what this episode's gonna be called. Sexy tonight.
It's good mixing.
Sexy tonight.
Oh, you overcommitted with the brief episode of fake outtakes.
What are we having for dinner tonight?
Oh my goodness. I want to have noodles again.
You want to go get the other noodles?
The other noodle place.
I'll go to the other noodle place.
Okay, I was afraid that we would not, because we had previously talked about wanting to find real New York pizza, but we had real New York pizza last night.
No, that wasn't real New York pizza.
That was pretty good real New York pizza.
It was pretty good pizza. We're going to get real New York pizza tomorrow night. Because the place we're going is in Brooklyn.
Oh, perfect. Because tomorrow afternoon, we're doing Shake Shack.
Dude, we're going to be
doing
Logie
Shake
is...
Shack.
We're doing... Tomorrow afternoon starts at 1:30. So we got to do Shake Shack early if you want to do Shake Shack.
I'll do Shake Shack at noon. It's close by here.
Shake Shack seems... Why don't we go to Shake Shack for dinner tonight?
Nope, I'm going to do Noodle Place. Noodle Place is a better dinner place.
Where's the noodle place?
I need to Google it.
I kind of want to... I kind of think it would be nice to have a chill night tonight. Like something we're not out until midnight, partying down.
I have plans tonight, so
Oh, la-ti-da.
out of the food discussion.
I think the other two members of our party are probably away too, so it might just be you and me tonight, Norm.
Braga's coming.
Oh, Braga's coming? Okay, good. Our Canadian friend.
The other noodle place has 4,000 reviews
I don't
on
care
Yelp.
how many
4
reviews it
stars.
has.
I've really gotten into this number of reviews thing on Yelp.
Norm is trying to quantitate everything. It's a really damaging thing because it means that basically if a restaurant hasn't been here for 10 years, he's never going to try it.
Well, I'll read reviews.
Where is it?
It's on between 4th and 3rd Avenue.
On? That doesn't tell anything.
On 10th.
Oh, fuck. It's all the way at the far end of... That's like an hour away.
It's on NoHo.
Oh, you're a no-ho.
Is that near Dumbo?
No, Dumbo's under the Dunbarton Bridge. Wait, no, the Dunbarton Bridge is by
Bay
us.
Area.
I don't know. All these names, everything's above something or north of something or under something. It's all about hose. It's all about
We'll see you guys next
hose.
time.
Really, that's it? That's all you're going to give them?
I am so tired.
What did you do today? You went to the Natural History
I
Museum.
did go to Natural History Museum.
Tell us about that.
There were dinosaurs, and there were lots of dead animals.
Were they modern dinosaurs or were they like tail-dragging, lethargic old dinosaurs? Have they updated the dinosaurs to be real?
I don't think they've updated them.
What, did they have a Brontosaurus on display?
They did not have a Brontosaurus on display.
Did they have a Diplodocus on display?
I did not see a Diplodocus. I saw Triceratops.
Okay, was his tail up or down?
Down.
Oh, so they haven't updated the dinosaurs.
I do not believe so.
I'm super sad. Did they have a woolly mammoth?
They did have a woolly mammoth.
Was it
Skeleton.
stuffed?
No,
Oh, skeleton.
Yeah.
The one in Washington is stuffed.
They had a lot of skeletons at the...
I feel like maybe I should get up early tomorrow morning and go to see this.
Actually, I think they did have Brontosaurus.
I don't think
Right in the
Brontosaurus
lobby.
is a real dinosaur
Maybe
anymore.
this had a big long tail, a long neck dinosaur.
Isn't the Triceratops just a juvenile Torosaurus?
That's what I thought too. So, but it was labeled Triceratops.
Then they're
So I
lying
think
sacks of shit.
Okay.
Do you think kids' curriculum in elementary school is updated now about dinosaurs?
Oh God, no.
Because I mean, we learned so much stuff in elementary school that
Yeah.
was not ended up not being true at all.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you a secret. When I was in elementary school, one of the things they showed us was a Betamax tape of that claymation stop motion dinosaurs fighting each other movie with cavemen in it.
Nice.
That was
So
awesome.
what?
That was entertainment.
No, that was during science class.
Oh,
Yeah.
the South.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a girl in my high school biology class.
Nice.
Say
Oh.
not like that. Well, not like that.
You can just end it there.
She said in a presentation about dinosaurs, well, we all know God put them here, so, and
Oh,
then
no.
moved on to the next point. And I look over at the teacher with like,
The teacher's smiling and
utterly
like,
shocked.
That's
yeah.
a fucking nuclear bomb for the teacher.
Smile and nod, smile and
Right.
nod. I was
Right.
like, whoa.
That is a situation that the teacher's like, I would like to. I'm 4 years from retirement. It's the Danny Glover of teacher moments.
Sadly, I think it just passed muster for her.
Oh,
wow.
makes me sad.
Um,
What else was it? Did you see any? Did they have
walking
gems?
through, they had a whole section of gems, a whole section of meteorites,
Okay.
a whole section on the origins of humans and skeletons and stuff. They had a whole room. They had the room with Alec Baldwin went in when he wanted to be a marine biologist.
In 30 Rock?
In 30 Rock, with
Okay.
a giant whale in the middle.
Blue whale? Sperm
blue-
whale?
I think it was blue. It was pretty big. It's blue whale, I think.
3 bus lengths?
That sounds about right.
Did it look like it weighed 1,000 tons?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was hanging from the ceiling.
You sure it wasn't Liza Minnelli?
Pretty sure. And I could see why walking through that museum, a Hollywood producer would go, man, this would be a really good place for a Ben Stiller movie. Maybe
Really?
2 of them, even.
Yeah. Those movies made a fuckload of money, dude.
Oh, they did.
They
did. There are a lot of fake people.
Have you ever actually watched those movies?
Nope.
Neither of you have.
No.
Your homework assignment
Oh, my goodness.
is to watch A Night at the Museum 1. Because while it is not a good movie, it is nowhere near as bad as every other Ben Stiller movie that isn't Tropic Thunder, Dodgeball, or Zoolander.
I think I'd rather watch RV and just get real shit.
What's RV?
It's the Robin Williams, Sherhines.
Maybe the low point of his
RV.
career. I don't know.
No, Bicentennial Man was the low point of his career. Or the one where he was the photo booth murderer. Or Patch Adams. Patch Adams is the low point of his career.
You're just naming movies
Patch
now.
Adams is pretty bleak.
Patch Adams was terrible.
No, Jack.
I never saw Jack.
Jack was pretty bad.
Jack is more bleak than
Jack
Patch
is,
Adams.
He had a bad 2 decades. He's coming out of it now, though.
Yeah. That's when he got addicted to Counter-Strike.
Quake.
Battlefield.
He's in a recent episode of Louis from season 3 that is incredible.
All right.
And it's beard Robin Williams, so
Then you know,
So he looks like a hobo.
you know he's serious.
yeah.
There's a lot less homeless
It's
people here.
groomed beard, so
Oh, okay.
he looks good.
Fewer? Yeah.
Yeah, a
homeless
lot
people?
fewer homeless people.
That I've seen.
Yeah. They're a little more aggressive, though. I don't think they give him
Well, the one that we saw yesterday was pretty aggressive.
the guy. I don't think that guy was homeless. I think he was just a.
Call me coach.
Yeah. Something about fingers. He seemed like he might be a New York staple. I never know, like, you never know when you're walking around here whether people, or these are like the, oh, ha, 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 he's been in this neighborhood for 30 years.
That's Coach. You
Yeah.
know him.
Or it's, oh, he's trying to develop that kind of rapport with a community. Yeah, so. Anyway.
They also had a planetarium.
Planetarium.
Planetarium. It's the Hidden Planetarium that is directed by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who did the intro video before the Planetarium show, narrated by Whoopi Goldberg.
Did you see the Planetarium show?
I did see the Planetarium show.
Ooh.
It was very tiring. It was okay. It was not as good
Did you
as
check
the
it out?
one. No, it was not as good as the one in the Academy of Sciences and Sciences.
Oh, the Powers of 10 one?
No, they do not do Powers of 10 one.
Well, they did one that was kind of, they did the one where they show, here's how far radio waves could have gone, here's how
They
far.
all use similar software. But this one is a pre-programmed show
Oh.
about the suns and stars.
Was there a guy up in the top with an Xbox controller flying around?
No.
That was the best part of
pre-programmed show.
the San Francisco one. Okay.
Yeah, natural history. A lot of museums in New York.
What other museums have you been to?
I'm saying there are a lot of museums in general.
I think Braga's hit like 3.
You bought the City Pass. You can
already.
buy a City Pass for $80, and you get to see. You get to go to the Met, the MoMA, Empire State Building, and
Ooh.
Natural History Museum, Museum of Natural History, and a bunch of other stuff.
I haven't even seen the Empire State Building except for when we came in on the cab.
I would love to go to MoMA. I think that would be real cool.
You should go to MoMA.
want to.
Why don't you get up and go tomorrow? Make it happen, Wes.
Maybe I will.
Let's wrap this up and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.